This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Squarespace, a service that makes it very fast and very easy to create your own website, portfolio, or online store. Go to squarespace.com and use the offer code THUMBS at checkout for 10% off your order.
I will.
Good, Jake.
Thanks, Chris.
I am.
You are not.
Oh. It is January 7th, 2015.
This is Idle Thumbs, oh my god, 192, I think?
Starting off the year strong. You'd never believe it, but you got it right. It's 192.
I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
I'm Nick Brecken.
All right.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Sean is somewhere, and Danielle is at Disney World.
Yeah.
So it's just us.
Last week it was just me. That was very strange.
Yeah.
It's really strange. I didn't
just you.
I didn't do a whole episode. We played some. It was a clip show. We played some classic content.
Oh, okay.
But I just got to come into the office alone to record the intro to that episode, which was.
You should just do that every week. We have enough material now that we
it's time to just start. Yeah, just replaying everything.
That's what this American Life does that all the time.
That's
they
true.
just like replay old episodes.
Yeah,
and they don't mention it or anything. I mean, every once in a while they'll put in a little thing that's like, 2/3 of the way through, they'll be like, this was first broadcast in 1999, and this thing has changed and is no longer accurate.
What we need to do is just...
But that's the only mention.
We need to develop an algorithm that changes all of the sequel names to just one digit up.
So we can just... I'm so excited for StarCraft 3! Oh, man.
Far Cry
Diablo
6.
4. At this point, all those... Far Cry, Diablo, StarCraft, those all will just be the same game forever.
Yeah.
So,
oh, yeah. Yep.
Well, you don't need to even have... You don't need to increment the thing. You just need to have the guy... We just get Ira Glass to come in and say, Chris and Nick are not really excited about StarCraft 2 anymore, but they still play it sometimes. And then just just keep going.
There's two ways you could go, because you could go that way, or you could make it even more future-proofed by just removing all the numbers. Because have you noticed the way that people talk about games, and not just games, but sort of blockbuster franchise films? They don't even bother saying which one they're talking about.
Call of Duty today?
They just talk about it as if the only one that matters is the latest one to be put into your face.
Or it's just the new. So if you take the suffix 2 from the StarCraft conversations and just have it be the new StarCraft.
Yeah, you're right.
The new Super Mario Brothers.
Well, just when you first mention it, you're like, oh, I'm playing the new StarCraft. Anyway, StarCraft. And then in 5 years, they'll be like, that unit isn't there. Oh, they were at a press event. So maybe that unit was in at the press event.
Well, good. We've worked out our long-term content strategy for Idle Thumbs.
So anyway, guys.
This is what the year of the PS3
in fact,
brings.
I will no longer be referring to any Idle Thumbs episode by its number.
Yeah, that's true.
To further future-proof.
Have you guys played that new game,
Thumbs.
Braid? I hear you can rewind time.
Oh, new Braid.
Do you guys ever find that you want to rewind time? So I was playing this video game, Braid.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I've had an Xbox 360 since
VG.
GTA 4 came out, and I finally decided to plug it into the internet.
Wait, are we talking?
Yeah.
For real? Okay,
yes.
go ahead.
Do you ever wish you could rewind time?
It's like a bad TV
I heard
episode.
you can do that in a game.
Oh, in Braid, the video game.
Braid.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I heard
you can do that in Braid. Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
I heard you can do that in...
So Braid is this game where you can rewind time.
I heard you can do that in Braid.
Jesus Christ.
Jake just threw a container of Left 4 Dead mints at me, and somehow I caught them between 2 fingers. That was amazing.
You were slowing it down.
Yeah. I heard you can do that in that game, Braid. Oh, that upcoming that new game Braid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I played a game by Unknown Worlds, who made Natural Selection 2. This was a weird thing. I was at a party a few months ago, and I ran into Charlie Cleveland, who is one of the two guys who co-founded Unknown Worlds, Natural Selection 2. And I'm like, and they had, I think, just launched Natural Selection 2. When did that game come out?
Gosh, 2 years ago, maybe?
No, Natural Selection 2.
No, Natural Selection 2. Natural
Didn't it
Selection
just
1 was
come
like a
out-
Half-Life 1.
Yeah, but didn't Natural Selection 2
I feel like it was in
officially
beta for a
It was
while,
in
so
beta
maybe-
and sort of
I think
rolling
I-
out.
I'm
But it
a little
only,
fuzzy
like-
on what it actually
But it only
is.
like released, I think, last
Yeah.
year, like
Okay.
late last year,
Yeah,
right?
sure,
I think.
I think so.
I played it a long time ago, but yeah. So I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And I'm like, oh, so you guys are like, but in any case, they were still working on it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, so you working on something else yet? And he's like, oh yeah, we're about to like release our next game. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's this like submarine thing. It's called Subnautica, and it's like a survival exploration thing. And I was like, what on earth? And the way that in the time frame he was talking about, I just kind of assumed it was like a 2D like mobile kind of side-scrolling thing, but it's like a Minecraft game, and it
Really?
just came out. Like it came out in early access a few weeks ago.
So it's first person then?
Yeah, it's first
Oh.
person, and you're in like an ocean, and your like big crazy sailing, ship, your crazy ship.
Vessel.
Yeah, your big enormous vessel like crashes or something happens, and so it starts as that your like massive vessel is just kind of on fire, just halfway sticking out of the ocean, and you're in this little escape pod, and you can leave the pod and dive into the ocean, and you have limited oxygen, and you can swim around, and there's a little flashing beacon on your escape pod so you can get back to it, and it's not blocky like Minecraft, but it's very similar to that in that you just gather resources from the world, and you can dig in the sand and find like salt and quartz, and you can grab little fish that float by or get attacked by bigger fish that are dangerous. And you can actually turn off the survival parts, which is really cool, I think, because I never enjoy that part of games like that.
That's the thing in Minecraft too. You can just turn it into creative mode.
Right, but in this game, it's just a toggle in the game. Is Minecraft like that too? Or
I
is
think
it-
it's
I
at
thought it was
least
a
on a
different
server
mode.
you can switch
Right, okay,
switch,
yeah.
but I don't know if it's single player.
This I don't know if it's multiplayer. I think it's only single player.
There's no multi-Nautica.
Not that I'm aware of, but also it's still quite early. So when I first saw that the game suddenly was out on Steam, I'm like, holy shit, this guy just like told me about this a couple months ago, and their game's already here. But then I got it and I downloaded it, and it's really cool. But
it's early
definitely-
access game.
It is definitely early access, but it's really it's promising. And I just do want to put that caveat on it because there's very little structure to it currently, in the way that there wasn't when Minecraft first came out. Although I haven't even played Minecraft recently, so I don't even know what it's like.
You can beat
now.
Minecraft now and get credits. That's a year or two old.
Really?
At this point.
Yeah.
How do you beat Minecraft?
There's like a
Shows what I know
a
about
portal.
There's like a
to a
portal that
thing,
goes to like
and then
a dragon or something. There's like an egg.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
didn't
It's a
play
complex
Minecraft. I
series.
stopped playing Minecraft before the end was there.
Yeah.
But this is cool. It really because you have that anchor where you go back to. You can fabricate things in this like replicator machine that is inside your escape pod, and from there you can build. Well, I mean, you can cook food that's more nutritious than just eating a raw fish, and you can build tools, and then you can build extra oxygen tanks, and you can build a little like ski-doo kind of thing that zips around. Enables you to go a lot faster, but you're pretty anchored to that point because that's where your replicator is, and so it has an interesting feeling that is very different than something like Minecraft because you have this central base that you have to keep coming back to, which I guess is similar to something like, I guess Terraria or what was the space one?
Terraria. Oh no.
Space.
Startopia.
Oh, Startopia.
No, that was an old game.
Terraria is the
Startopia is an old
Terraria is the
game.
2D one.
It's Star something. Ugh.
Yeah, but
gross.
then they made a sci-fi sequel to it that had like a spaceship that you kept. That
Why
you could,
am I
like, keep
forgetting
going
what that's
back
called?
to.
It's Star something.
Yeah.
Gross. I don't know. It's Solar Jetman.
Starbound.
Starbound.
Jeez, everyone at home is going,
Yeah.
Starbound.
Yeah. And this feels very similar to me to that, both because this has kind of a like sci-fi-ish veneer to it, and also because of that the central
The home
kind of
base.
base that Starbound has. And I'm looking forward to it having more developed stuff in it, but it's still really like promising currently. Just like going around the ocean, you can tell it's going to be beautiful. It's these like big, vast seascape vistas and like, you know, big reefs and like at night it's really fucking scary because you're like diving really deep down into the middle of the ocean. And
Did you die?
Dark. Yeah, I died several times. You can die for all kinds of reasons. You can die from hunger or from oxygen loss or from being attacked by
Being scared.
by monstrous fish. Yeah, you can just be really scared, and no, that doesn't.
When your scare meter goes up.
You can get dehydrated, but it's cool. I don't know. It's cool. I enjoyed poking around in it. It's called Subnautica, and it's by Unknown Worlds, the people who made Natural Selection.
That's
and Natural
cool.
Selection 2. Yeah.
Oh man, strange game to talk about on Idle Thumbs, but not really, I guess. Chris, both of us played this, and I just remembered it just now. It's a party game made by the people who make You Don't Know Jack.
Yeah.
It has the unfortunate name Fibbage, but it's we played it on New Year's. It's basically if you've played Balderdash or a game like that, where the game.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. I just need to correct myself. I guess I was totally wrong about when Natural Selection 2 came out. I guess it was
2 years ago or something?
Yeah, longer ago, like a year and a half ago or something. I don't know why I thought something happened more recently. I guess they must have just kept updating.
It was a long.
I know it was in development
campaign.
for a long ass time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what I was thinking exactly.
I was trying to explain this elaborate game, Chris.
I know. I'm sorry. I just. This is another thing that people are going to email in because I got it wrong. So anyway, go ahead.
The concept of it is actually very simple.
So reintroduce the.
It's called Fibbage. It's by the people who made You Don't Know Jack. You can get it on I think it's on Xbox One, PS3, PS4, and probably some set-top box, Amazon Fire things or whatever. But instead of it being a trivia game, it's more in the style of like Balderdash, or I guess something like Cards Against Humanity or Apples to Apples, where the game throws a topic up on screen. And the Balderdash, like it's like in the card game Balderdash, or in the board game Balderdash, a subject is presented, like a word is presented, then everyone who's playing writes down their alleged definition for it, and they all get put into a stack, and then someone reads them all aloud, and they choose the winner. The way this game works is it will put up a sentence that just has one missing word, where I can't even remember a single example of the sentences, but they're just odd historical facts, where it's like in 1845 someone in Texas was arrested for blank. It's more interesting and specific than that. But then the way that the game actually works is everyone has to have anything that has a web browser on it, because you use your phone as the input device. So you play it on a PS4 or an Xbox or something, but then you anonymously type in whatever.
It looks
the
like
actual...
it's on Xbox One, PS3, PS4, and Fire TV.
Oh, that's what I said. Crazy, I got it right.
Yeah.
Everyone, you just go to the web page and the mobile version of the site, you type in a 4-letter code, it then logs you into that game, so you're logged into the game on the site, and your web browser just turns into a live remote for the game. So everyone submits an answer, it anonymously puts them up on the screen, and then also you can vote, or you can pick which one you think is the correct answer, because if there's 4 people playing, 5 things come up on the screen, and it's the 4 things people submitted as well as the correct answer. So you get 1,000 points if you guess the actual correct answer, and you get 500 points if someone fell for your choice. It's and since it's a You Don't Know Jack style game, it's got the same narrator and all the sort of live host voice that is all that stuff. I don't know if I have a huge takeaway from this, other than I didn't really know it existed until a few days before New Year's.
Yeah,
I didn't really even know those guys were making anything new beyond You Don't Know Jack, and I enjoy it so much more than You Don't Know Jack. Like I liked that game a lot when I was in high school or whatever, when it was in the 90s. But this, and it had that feeling of you could have 3 friends around a keyboard and it kind of felt like you were all actually playing a game together. In this, the fact that you actually are contributing the content goes so much farther towards making it ridiculous because, like, just strange, you know, if you're playing it with clever friends, the answers are all completely outrageous. And then immediately, like, the way that it paces showing who voted for what is a really good reveal every single time, where you see your thing come up and you're just like, oh shit, that means someone voted for it. Then it goes boop boop and shows who voted for it. So you obviously then mock them. And then at the very end of each round, or sort of once you voted, you can just award basically Facebook likes to the ones you didn't vote for. So then it shows everyone's answers, and then it sort of pauses for a beat, and then boop, which ones of them got likes come up at the very end. So like the person who submits the joke answer that is obvious bullshit, but is really hilarious in and of itself.
Right. Yep. We had a few cases of kind of emergent running gags that would just come up throughout the thing. Like somehow Die Hard 2 DVD cases. Or Die Hard 2 DVDs got submitted for like 4 different questions.
There was one question where it was vaguely plausible. It was like, no, it was like Bruce Willis shipped 15 boxes of blank to troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. Right. And then someone wrote Die Hard 2 DVDs.
And someone else wrote dollars.
Yes. Yeah.
Both of which ended up becoming recurring answers. And so, you know, obviously the people who use those recurring answers
he shipped 2,000 blank. So one of the answers was dollars, and one of them
and one was boxes of Die Hard 2 DVDs.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, it's good. It's really unusual to play a video game in which you have to actually input natural language. That just doesn't happen that much anymore, right? Ever. Like it's not a thing that has been around very often since the days of text parser adventure games.
Yep. The game that it actually reminds me the most of is not, like, here's the worst thing. This game is called Fibbage, and You Don't Know Jack used to be made by a company called Jellyvision. Jellyvision split, and their games division is now called Jackbox Games. Worst name! So Jackbox Games, worst name, makes Fibbage, which is worst thing. But You Don't Know Jack in the 90s was published by Berkeley Systems, the people who made the After Dark screensaver.
Right.
Before
God.
Berkeley went out of business because they got bought by Sierra, because Sierra wanted You Don't Know Jack, I think. And that was when After Dark screensaver was brought to you by the makers of King's Quest and Half-Life. But Berkeley Systems had an online network called Berserk, I think, which was insane and ahead of its time, because it had every week or every 14 days there was a new You Don't Know Jack episode that would go up on it.
The Net Show.
Oh my god!
You Don't Know Jack, the Net Show, which is ad supported, and they also had a game called Acrophobia, which I played to death, because what Acrophobia was, I think it was actually originally started as someone's IRC bot that they then like licensed or cloned into this online game. That was, so it was a chat room, but then each round would be just a 3-letter acronym would come up, and you would choose what you thought that acronym stood for. They all showed up on screen, and people voted for the best one. And then there were also themes, where you go into themed rooms, and there'd be themed rounds. And like that game was obviously ridiculous. And the worst thing about it is you would end up with just, oh, my wacky acronym is ass fart bitch. Like, cool, good. But But this game, the fill in the blank thing.
Picked a thing that is like an actual acronym for like a military base.
Yeah.
AFB. That's like totally a thing that would actually happen.
Yeah.
You get that acronym, it's a real thing.
But then someone puts in just total trash.
Yeah.
It reminds me entirely of that, even though I think that they have no connection to each other than they shared a publisher and were kind of inspired by that party game thing. But that, like, playing this reminds me of playing old, like, not as far back as text parser interface stuff, but like chat room games and that sort of thing.
Sure, totally. And that's a much better touchstone than mine. I didn't mean to imply that this was at all similar to a
adventure for a mainframe.
Well, it's just a really uncommon thing to do in a video game published in the 2010s.
Yep.
You know, just no one ships stuff like that. And how would you even on a console? It would be, and that's why that's what's so brilliant about you, because everyone has a smartphone now. Everyone has a device with a soft keyboard on it.
Yeah,
it's really clever.
They have a thing called the Jackbox Party Pack, which has...
this was frustrating.
This is infuriating, because in addition to Fibbage, they make a version of You Don't Know Jack that works with the same interface, so everyone can just buzz in on their phones.
Okay.
which I think is really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But then they also have a Pictionary variant as well, which uses the same system, but you can draw and then all your art goes up on the screen. But the only ones that are sold individually are You Don't Know Jack and the fill in the blank game. You have to pay like, I don't remember the amount of money, but it was
$25.
You had to pay $25 for all of it, which is fine.
Yeah.
That means you can't buy any of the
Right.
individual
It's
ones.
fine unless you're a customer on the Xbox Live Store and you buy Fibbage first and then go, I can't, because they don't.
Right. Yeah.
They put it up as a separate SKU. Why isn't that a launcher that has DLC for all of them?
Right.
Why?
Ugh.
Oh, it's infuriating. Why can't I press a button and pay a few dollars to have the other game show up?
Wait, wow. The Jackbox Party Pack is on Steam.
Oh, interesting.
It has You Don't Know Jack 2015, Fibbage, Drawful, Wordspud, and Licewater.
Oh, those names are all so bad.
Players play using their
accomplished.
phones. You can just use your phone still. We should just get this on Steam here in the office.
Yeah, we're dumb. Okay, good. Because You Don't Know Jack and Fibbage are both like really good, solid games, and that company must have just amassed so much You Don't Know Jack content at this point. Because even since they've been doing You Don't Know Jack again in their new incarnation since it's been 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
I have to say, this phone thing is. The more I think about it, the more brilliant it is, because this means they can ship a cross-platform game. You know, usually the problem with buying a party game on Steam is that
You're locked into that. Yeah.
Well, it's like people's computers are just not set up to. A lot of people just don't have like 4 controllers for their computer, for example. But like the fact that they all just use your phone no matter what, like,
or an iPad, or another
iPad,
computer,
or like
whatever.
Another computer, literally anything that has an internet browser, makes that incredibly convenient.
Yeah, no, it's smart. It seems like they looked at like when you buy a Chromecast or a Roku or an Amazon Fire, or I set up like a Netflix channel on your Wii or something, where it's like type in the 4-digit code and then within a spooky amount of time, it just automatically syncs and registers your device. And like, oh, why don't we just do that for game controllers?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And these games, it's fine if there's a little bit of lag, because as long as you beat the buzzer, it's fine. But I don't know. It's we spent more time talking about this than I wanted to, but it was a game that was so at odds with anything that I've played in such a long time that
it's good. It sounds good.
Yeah.
I want to play
I was
this game.
struck. You should. It's on Steam.
Oh.
The stupidly named Jackbox Party Pack.
Well, in another stupid move, it doesn't look like Fibbage. It's alone is available on Steam. That one's only available on Steam in the Party Pack. So there's dumb bundling stuff going on with these games.
If you're releasing them on Steam, why aren't they all separate SKUs that then are in a pack? Whatever. They've got a biz dev guy. They have a good reason for it that they've told themselves. It's so frustrating to me because you can't just tell people to get one of them, which I'm sure makes them get the Jackbox season pack. No individual SKUs allowed. Anyway, that's that game. Nick, what have you been doing? I've been typing words into my phone.
I uncovered my Super Mario Brothers Happy Meal figurines.
Good. That's
that's really the most notable thing that's happened to me since.
What does that mean? What?
You don't remember the Super Mario Brothers 3 Happy Meals? The little
I don't think I was
the Goomba with the suction cup.
You
suction cup is his.
We've
face,
talked
his
about
feet.
this before.
I know you
think we've
have,
covered
but
this.
it's not internalized.
Well, I
in my
found them. It felt
memory.
revelatory.
Do you have them all lined up on your desk?
Oh God, yes. Oh, it's fabulous.
Do you lock them up at night? Those are going to walk.
God, what else have I done?
Getting those Mario 3 figurines.
Yeah. No, I played a lot of games. Mostly, have we talked about the Outer Wilds on this podcast?
Oh, I've heard this is amazing. I've not played it yet.
I have played it. I probably have not played it enough to do it justice, but I can certainly say it's worth checking out.
Yeah. So what is? I know literally nothing about it.
So I don't.
Other than suddenly one day on Twitter, everyone was like, "Drop everything and play the Outer Wilds."
Right.
But I haven't had access recently. Like
It's in an early state, but it is very interesting. So it's Subnautica. Is it nautical or Nautica?
Nautica.
Subnautica. Yeah, reminded me of it a bit as you were describing it, although it's not. It's entirely exploration based. So you gosh, how to describe it? It kind of feels like what No Man's Sky, what I would want No Man's Sky to be, I guess, is one way to describe it.
Interesting.
You start out.
Are you saying that because you suspect No Man's Sky will not be that, or because
No Man's Sky
is?
It seems like it's aggressively procedurally generated to the point that I don't know what meaning you're going to extract from its exploration. I hope they do a good job of that stuff.
Okay.
But this game, I feel like, is an authored take on that kind of game, and it's really interesting. So you start out It's a first-person game, and gosh, I guess it's science fiction in theme, but you're on this planet, and it actually kind of weirdly feels like a Nintendo game. In fact, I think right now there is some Nintendo sound effects in there. You walk up to a guy, and just a weird little text box pops up when you talk to people, and you're just in this sort of like just a tiny little area. It just reminds me of like the villages in like Ocarina of Time. It's that kind of aesthetic. It's that low poly, like 1998 feel. And it's kind of interesting. It's not a pretty game, but in any case, you get eventually you get to they sort of tutorialize a few things, and you jump in this spaceship. And the nice thing about everything from there on is that it feels very free in a way that I didn't expect. Like you jump in the spaceship, you can walk around in the interior of the spaceship. You jump in the cockpit. The controls are, it allows like total freedom of movement in space. You launch off of the planet, and when you do, you realize that this planet is actually like almost sort of like a Super Mario Galaxy planet. Like it's much smaller than you thought it was. You can see the level that you were just walking around kind of dug into the face of this planet. And from there on, you can just fly around the solar system, and that is essentially just the game. And so you can see planets in the distance. You put your thrusters on, and you reach planets in, I don't know, like 60 seconds or less. You get to a planet. A lot of them are just like they're not. It's not at all aiming for realism in any sort of the way like you would think. Some of them just look like weird brambles and like just like weird. It just reminds me of Super Mario Galaxy. They're not.
Huh.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
And I guess the point of the game is to explore the solar system, discover like what is going on, but then there is a moment where the sun just goes nova and just destroys everything, and then you get kicked back to the starting point and have to then go out and launch.
It's the Majora's Mask
launch in a
situation?
different. Yeah, it feels incredibly Nintendo influenced, but. So I know a lot of people who have said that there are just some incredible moments to be found in this game. Like the stuff that I've heard about that you can find is really interesting. My experience was pretty hilariously anticlimactic. I just flew around and there's this one just like weird collection of vines that are sort of wrapped up with thorns. It's just this enormous, weird, viney.
You know what's horrible? You said collection of vines, and of course I thought of the stupid 6-second Twitter videos.
It's a collection of just 6-second videos playing on a terminal. But no, I was just flying around, kind of lulled into just a weird explorative moment where I'm just flying around in this sort of gaseous planet, and then this crazy like. I don't know, fish monster just came out of nowhere and ate me. And then I went back to that planet.
Fishmonger.
Yeah. And I flew back there. I landed again. I discovered this cave with like cave drawings of that monster on it.
That you painted.
Yeah.
Twitter chillers.
Yeah.
Vine.
I don't know. I actually don't really have much to say about the game. I wish I had stories that actually made any sense. But it clearly is interesting. I think I'm gonna have to play it for a few more hours before I have anything,
Sure.
to bring back.
I've heard it's really
But
cool.
It is cool. I will say that it seems really neat. That it's
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just it was refreshing to play a game that felt that open and kind of just not overbearing in its openness,
Sure. Yeah.
Like it didn't feel like this game was about exploration in the sense that
it's like,
you can
go anywhere. Fucking go anywhere.
Yeah.
Why aren't you going anywhere?
Yeah.
Everywhere. Go everywhere. Have you seen everything? Why aren't
Right.
you doing it?
Yeah, I mean, you're given.
It's okay if players only see a portion of the game. Oh, the whole world's here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You have a list of 8 or 9 planets, and they're not all filled in. And when you go to one, you launch a probe, and it fills in the planet with some information. And ostensibly, you discover more things about the planet the more times you go back there. But I don't know. Yeah, apparently there are really cool moments to be found, but I haven't really experienced any of them. But it is cool. It's worth checking out. I don't know if you can play it yet. I think you can play an early version. On the website, I think you can just download the early version of this, but I could be wrong. But yeah, The Outer Wilds. It's a game that will probably be released and be good. It's a little rough right now, clearly, but it's definitely super interesting.
Do you know where it came from? It looks like it's...
No, I don't, off the top of my head.
Because based on all the people who were sort of suddenly
it's been
out of
done.
nowhere,
Yeah.
like promoting this game, I just, given the makeup of those people, I assumed this would be like a really small
Oh, it's
thing
definitely
with-
small.
But but if you look at the team page on their website, there's like 15 or 20 people on there.
Oh, wow.
So it's not small, but also who knows if they're all full-time or what.
Yeah, I know it's been in development for a long time.
Okay.
But yeah, it's. I mean, I think it's going to gain some momentum here. It feels like it's coalescing finally. It feels like, having looked at
This
their
game's
blog.
been around for a while. It was in Indiecade 2013.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's it's clearly been through a long cycle, but it feels like they finally hit on something that.
So it's possible that there's been some churn on the team and some of these.
I would
members are
imagine.
not 100% the
Yeah.
whole time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who knows though?
it's a weird beast, but it's definitely interesting.
Funny you say Beast, because when I heard the name of this game, I kept just thinking Beast of the Southern Wild. And so I just had like a complete, I don't know why, but it's just this, that's just what the name conjured to me. So I had no idea it was even a space game. Like you were like, and you're a spaceship. And I'm like, oh, okay.
You're a spaceship that's in a sort of hypothetical near future brink of apocalyptic bayou sort of culture.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and again, based on the kinds of like sort of Brandon Boyer-esque people who were promoting the game, I was like, oh, it's like some kind of weird like Kentucky Route Zero like bayou thing. Like I don't know, right? Like who knows?
Yeah, I mean, there is a planet. Actually, the moon of the starting planet. You can land on the planet, and after walking around the circumference of it, you finally reach a weird guy with a banjo playing in front of a fire. So there you go. It's Beast of the Southern Wild.
Okay, well, there you go.
Space.
It's just it's crazy for me to realize how many completely meaningless and unsubstantiated associations my brain created in the full vacuum of information. Like in the outer space of this game is like the vacuum of actual knowledge that I had about this game, and my brain filled in that vacuum with bullshit. It's just completely nonsensical comparisons to things that make no sense.
Yeah, that happens.
So anyway, you guys want to take a break?
Sure.
Let's take a break.
I guess.
Well, I know. Video game. This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Squarespace, a website platform that allows you to make your own website, portfolio, or online store very quickly and very easily. They make really nice-looking websites that are highly mobile compatible, responsive design, all that kind of modern web stuff, with all kinds of really attractive themes. If you go to squarespace.com and use the promo code THUMBS, you can get 10% off your order. We have a number of Idle Thumbs readers who have built sites using Squarespace. They like it a lot. One of them is Icewater Games, actually, the developer of Eidolon, the very stylish exploration game that I think we talked about on this podcast.
We did.
Several months ago, yeah. And I went there to look at it because they told us that they made it with our Squarespace promo, and it's a nice looking website. And I also learned that they're based in Seattle. I spent a lot of time in Seattle, and it's a nice city. And yes, and so that's icewatergames.com. They're cool. Made a Squarespace site. You can make your own Squarespace site at squarespace.com with the promo code THUMBS for 10% off.
Thanks, Squarespace. Thanks, Seattle Tourism Board.
And also, thank you to Hover for sponsoring this week's Idle Thumbs. They are our favorite domain name registrar. All of our websites have been registered through hover.com and have been since long before they ever sponsored us. We love them and recommend them to everybody. If you go to hover.com and use the promo code ALLARD, ALLARD, you can get 10% off your domain name registration. We put out a call to ask readers some of the websites that they registered with the Idle Thumbs hover promo code, the various Idle Thumbs hover promo codes that have happened over the last couple of years. There's a lot. Some of them we've read before, but there are, for example, lords.management, visitation.zone, mana.bar, videojames.net, butts.holdings, and my favorite tweet about this was from Thomas Grundy, who said, I registered ismouthsounds2outyet.com, and by the time I was done, Mouth Silence was out. So that website is not even a website. But the domain name exists thanks to Hover. You can get all kinds of wacky TLDs, all kinds of wacky domain names.
And just normal domain names.
And totally normal domain names.
Like idlethumbs.net.
Yes, like idlethumbs.net. You can't get that one. We already did. For your other ideas, go to hover.com, use the promo code ALLARD, ALLARD, for 10% off.
Guys, we're back!
No.
Guys, we're back!
Okay.
We are now.
Yep.
You did it.
Video game. We're back.
We're back.
Nick, are you back?
And we're back.
Okay, Nick's back
We're
too.
back now that Nick's back.
So I completely forgot to bring this up.
Happy year of the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, exactly. And as our first, Nick Breckett is destroying his microphone. As our first episode in the year of the PS3, you guys, I know Jake at least because I just sent it to you. You saw this article about this like scientist who has been building supercomputers out of PS3s to study black holes.
I think this showed up in the news. Okay, this bubbled up to the top of the news in the last couple of weeks because of anticipation for the year of the PS3. But I think this actually happened in like 2009, the true heyday of the PS3. Excuse me.
Wait,
you know why this happened?
specific thing happened? Or
Yes.
Because
because it was classified as a supercomputer at one time.
Yes, but aren't all PlayStations really?
A terrorist device.
But yeah, it was a Dartmouth professor got Sony to donate a few PlayStations. He bought a bunch for himself, and the university bought some, and he had a 16-computer cluster running Linux. So that was PS3 powered. And the quotes in the article with him were like, gaming is huge now, and these things are crazy powerful. But I suspect that 2015 being the year of the PlayStation 3 and 2015 being the year of Linux on the desktop is why this story came back. Neither of those reasons are why it came back, because
but I mean,
Linux will never gain mainstream acceptance, and PlayStation 3 can't run Linux anymore, I don't think. So,
well, they said, I mean, in my reading, I read the story like a week ago.
Oh, it's changed since then. You read it? Did you read it before?
Oh, I read it in the year of not the PS3.
Yeah, you read it BPS3.
All PS3 related articles and materials subtly changed when the clock ticked over.
Yeah.
History is written by the victors, Chris.
History is written by the PS3.
Yeah, it's like, this guy's had a supercomputer on these for years. Everyone has. They're the predominant computer.
We've all been using PS3s as supercomputers for a decade now. We all started having done that for a decade as of 4 days ago.
Yes. Well, every PS3 owner has owned and operated a supercomputer.
That's true. That's true. Or at least like 1/16 of a supercomputer.
Oh.
The thing that happened in 2015 was that everyone's PS3s kind of silently linked in to the global PS3
It's the trend.
cloud.
We're putting up the
mega-computer.
final PlayStation's firmware update. Really? The final one? Yeah. We won't need any more after this.
They'll update themselves going forward.
I thought they already did that. You clearly know as a user of the PlayStation 3 that they do not.
Yeah, they will now, going forward, they will update themselves through patches that they collaboratively create through their own shared neural network.
Yes, they will eventually update the PS4 in your house, and then they will update you.
They will upgrade the PS4 to a PS3.
My PS4 booted up, and it just seems to be stuck in an emulator running the PS3 OS. Running PS3 Linux. Looks like someone ported PS3 Linux to the PS4. That's a 10-year-old Linux. What are we talking about? Oh, so you read one that was more current than this? A more current supercomputer?
No, it's not that it was more current. It was just that I remember it being that this was still something that people are doing. Like, not just a thing someone did in 2009, but as I understood it, this was like the Army has done this as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. There's
But
definitely...
I guess there's a long history of this, because remember in like 2001 when there was all those news reports about how you could use your PS2 to like launch a missile?
Yeah, I think it's because it's classified as a supercomputer and because you could run Linux on them in a different environment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They
Like,
were
they
worried
hit a
that North
certain number
Korea
of-
would get a hold of a PlayStation 2.
Like the number of
And,
teraflops it can perform is
Right.
high enough or something. It can perform a
Yeah.
lot of flops. Apparently, it's a floating point operation. I think. I don't know. Yeah, it was in 2010. The Air Force connected 1,760 PlayStation 3s to build a supercomputer
God, this just
and to
reminds me-
run Shadow of the Colossus at really high res.
You know,
They SLI'd their PlayStations.
whenever anyone says PS3s, because that is such an uncommon thing to
Sorry,
say.
they connected 1,760 PlayStations 3 to make this supercomputer.
The thing I was going to say is that when we're talking about PlayStation 3, we either say... We usually just say the PS3 or like my PS3 or whatever, because most people don't ever have any reason
I
to
have two PS3s.
Yeah, but do you remember that video that
Yeah.
came out when the PS3 launched? When it was like impossible to get because it was sold out everywhere? And some guys put up this troll video where he was like, you may have one PS3, however, I have 3 PS3s or something. And he had just a video where he just had like 3 PlayStation 3 consoles in his bathroom.
Then
or like
the
in his kitchen
90s
or whatever.
TV ad version of this then has the guy go, but the PlayStation 3 is so powerful, it's a supercomputer. Then like it shows like a full dress uniform Air Force like
That's true.
like super
with like a
high
huge
ranking
tank
officer
with a really high perspective.
Yeah, well, there's just 2 fighter jets coming out on either side of him, but then stacked up even higher than that are PlayStation 3 boxes that all light up. And then that guy goes, "Oh man!" That ad is actually in production now to air this year. But yeah, no, we joked about supercomputers, I think, because we kind of knew they were real, but then suddenly people just started inundating us with, oh, did you know that there's still people who have PS3 supercomputers? Those supercomputers are way more powerful now. In this year, the year of the PS3.
That's true. We finally unlocked the power of the PS3's supercomputer.
Well, the supercomputers themselves, they'll really activate all those
The extra
tertiary
SPUs.
processors.
Yeah. SPU now stands for Supercomputer Processing Unit.
Oh, is that okay? Cool.
I don't know. Maybe you can't prove it doesn't.
Yeah.
You probably can prove that.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to find
That's
a
actually
black hole,
that's the last content of Idle Thumbs in 2015, though. Basically, year of the PS3 starts. The world is flooded with PlayStation supercomputer news.
world
we're
is
out.
flooded
Yeah.
with PlayStation supercomputers. PlayStation supercomputers become sentient. World ends. No more idle thumbs.
God creates
Dinosaurs
man.
eat
Woman
man.
inherits the earth.
Baby smell. What? Some of the smell? What? Oh.
Oh, you guys want to do some reader mail?
Oh, we could now.
Now that we've got that PlayStation, now that we've pacified the sort of encroaching presence of the PS3 singularity,
We will just pointedly ignore the oncoming PlayStation apocalypse as we carry on with reader mail and other bullshit episodes of this show. Tom Burmeister writes, "Hi Thumbs, first time questionnaire. I've been listening pretty diligently for about 2 years now."
hold on, sorry. I like this guy a lot. He's a good friend of the show. That first time questionnaire is also the last time the phrase questionnaire is allowed.
He says he listens to us during his 2-hour round trip commute to school every day, where he's a school librarian, which is a pretty cool job if you just want to talk to kids all day about games or interested in games for education, blah, blah, blah. Let me know if you want to know more. That's a cool job. School librarian. I like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, being a 31-year-old male, I was blown away by the existence and preposterousness of the Jurassic World trailer and really enjoyed your discussion and Jape spinning off of it. Now, how on earth has this not happened for the Star Wars trailer? Have I missed it? Was it on Twin Peaks Rewatch? Are you also conflicted that there's a secret agreement not to talk about it? I got excited when I saw Star Wars in the tag for last week's episode, and then you guys didn't joke about laser crossguards and spinning camera angles falconing. I mean, the conversation you had about Star Wars was super interesting, and it seems like I'm complaining, but I love the show and the discussion you guys have, whether on video games or not. Love you all, even though it's old news. I love Danielle being on there, yada, yada, yada. Yours. He's from Cardiff, Wales, Tom Burmeister. So the actual answer to why the Star Wars trailer wasn't discussed in our Star Wars discussion last week is because we actually recorded that Star Wars discussion like a week before the new Star Wars trailer came out.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, it is.
That came out on Thanksgiving. No, because I think that conversation actually had a thing that was on the cutting room floor of just one of us saying, "You guys hyped for Star Wars Episode 7? Yes. I guess, sure, why not?" And then we ended up talking about all this stuff.
Really? I could have... Because
this is an incredibly important discussion that we're having.
Well, I just remember when the Star Wars trailer came out, I have a memory, maybe I'm inventing this memory, maybe it was planted there by the PlayStation 3 consciousness, but I have a distinct memory
on which Star Wars Episode 7 is already available
and is being rendered in real time. I remember I have
it's not. It's bullshit.
I have a very specific memory of the Star Wars Episode 7 trailer coming out and me being like, "Oh man, if only this had come out a few days earlier, we could have talked about it on that Star Wars."
Oh, crazy. Discussion. Okay. Weird.
Yeah. Because it came out on Thanksgiving, and that podcast had to be done before December because it came out.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Yeah. So that's the reason we didn't talk about Star Wars in that discussion last week. It was actually a week's old. It was like a month and a half old discussion that we had and we'd never used for anything. And then...
I wish it was a conspiracy to not talk about the Star Wars trailer.
Well, if it was, I ruined the conspiracy. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
So how about that Star Wars trailer, you guys?
I had really strong thoughts about that Star Wars trailer in the hour that it came out, and now I've made peace and don't care, and I'm kind of looking forward to a Star Wars movie made by not George Lucas. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
The end. It'll be fine. Don't care about that lightsaber.
No, whatever. It's fine.
Herman Strand Lilling writes,
wait a minute, Star Wars trailer?
Hey, Thumbs, love the show you guys roll. I'm writing in because Chris talked about not being aware of hair loss as a boy. And I have a story about that. I haven't read the story yet, so we'll see if it's any good.
Reader mail.
When I was around 9 or 10, I was in a children's theater group. Our instructor was a hairdresser by day. One day we were talking about this subject, and someone asked her who she thought would lose their hair first. Another kid already had hair shaped up in a widow's peak and was fairly high up in his forehead, where I had long, dirty blonde hair hanging almost to my shoulders. In my head, I'm thinking, clearly it's that kid. But then she points at me who always got compliments on his hair. Of course, this scarred me for life, and I've been terrified about losing my luscious locks ever since. I'm now 25, and my hair game is stronger than ever, but I never forget what she said. Thanks for reading this, and always remember to think about what you tell children. Sincerely, Hermie on the forums. P.S. Talk about films more. You guys are great at it. I like this story a lot because that's totally the kind of thing that a child will never, ever forget.
Oh, yeah.
It's also straight from, like, a 90s, like, I don't know, Pete and Pete era sitcom or something. Like, I don't know why I said Pete and Pete, but just like that, I just imagine how this would be filmed, where the kid is, like, sitting there in school, like, and they're like, who's going to lose their hair first? And the kid, meanwhile, there's a kid who's basically bald already.
Right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then just a little weird sort of
zoom in on the face, like from overhead.
And then the entire rest of the episode, the kid would be like sweating bullets.
Well, yeah, because he sort of looks around confused as like a pitch bent acoustic guitar chord goes, right, and then he's like at lunch or some other thing's happening, but he's just super antsy about it forever.
Yeah, he probably goes to lunch and gets a baked potato or something, and it's like, you know, everything he sees reminds him of a bald head.
Right. Lunch lady with the hairnet's like, won't need this much longer or something.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. What, huh?
Angel hair pasta.
Yeah.
None of this for you. What, huh?
Why aren't we writing a hit 90s Nickelodeon, like, late afternoon show?
I think we are.
Why aren't we creating the relaunch of Snick? Maybe Snick still exists. I don't know. Snick's probably its own network with its own retro network spinoff.
Junior Snick.
God,
Snick Junior. Sorry.
Have you guys noticed that I see ads for these like on bus stations once every like 6 months. Have you guys seen that that TV Land, the spinoff of Nickelodeon that used to be just a programming block devoted to...
It was like old Nick and Night.
It
was like...
Nick and Night. Old Nick and Night, like old television programming from like the 50s through the 70s, roughly, I guess. Yeah. Now has their own just original shows.
Nick at Night also did that right towards the end of before
Really?
TV Land spun off, because they had Hi Honey I'm Home, which was that TV show that was about a TV sitcom family moving in next door. Although it might have been the detritus of a network show that got canceled, and Nick at Night picked it up and like finished the season or something.
Well, they now just have their own shows that presumably are just targeted at the demographic that watches the actual old shows on their network. Yeah, it's really bizarre.
Well,
We live in a weird world.
every
write that
cable
show
network, every cable network has to have a couple flagship original shows at this point, regardless of what it's about. So
Yeah, it's true. God, speaking of which, the fucking History Channel. I saw movies in.
this is old man time.
Yeah, I know.
It's fucking weird. The
of the
History
history-
Channel is just made up now. Like
yeah,
it's just
no, it's
completely
okay,
made up.
it's-
I couldn't
This
believe
is
it.
old man time, because
No,
that is
I was-
old news.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
true.
realize how ridiculous it gotten. I was in the theater, like watching a movie, like an actual movie, in the movie theater,
What is happening?
and they had this whole block.
I was at the theater and I noticed.
No, I'm just saying, like
History Channel.
No.
Where'd all the history go?
they had ads for all this crazy shit, like the Revelations, like the end of the world, like the History Channel. That
well, like isn't like Pawn
It's the
Stars or
opposite.
something on the
It's
History
the
Channel?
happening right now?
Revelation, or no, yeah, like end of like biblical apocalypse is the opposite of history in two different ways. It's the opposite because it's religion, and also because it's not even in the past. So it's like negatively history in multiple ways. And then they have these like Viking shows and all this shit that just look like bad Braveheart style things. I don't know. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
I guess that's what the History Channel is now. I guess everyone knew this except for me.
Thanks, History Channel, for sponsoring this week's episode of Idle Thumbs.
Michael Reneker writes, "Hey, I just wanted to mention 80 Days is out on Android. I've been eagerly waiting for it to come out on Android ever since it came out on the show. I played about 5 hours the day I got it and love it." That is good to know. I forget if we've mentioned that or not, that it's on Android, but just in case we hadn't, I wanted to read this email. 80 Days is like maybe my top game of 2014.
It's definitely mine.
It's so
man,
good.
so okay, I actually meant to ask if you guys had a GotY and it's 80 days.
Mine are 80 Days and the Talos Principle. They both pretty late in the year games, but they're so good. They're both so good.
Yeah, I played through Talos over break.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I loved it. But,
Yeah.
I think 80 Days is still my favorite.
I think 80 Days is my top as
This
well.
war of mine is actually pretty high up there.
Okay,
for me.
cool. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it was a not the most exciting year throughout, and like
No.
I was on the IGF judge and jury panel this year,
Yeah. So
and it wasn't as exciting. It really wasn't as exciting as the last, I would say, 2 years.
yeah. Well, I struggled to come up with a lot of things to
Me
consider.
too, I know.
really just
Yeah.
kind of this is self-evident. I mean, okay, the games that I played that were good,
Yeah.
and everything else.
This reminds me of, the true Idle Thumbs game of the year. Neither of you guys were on the show. Sean wasn't even on it. It was me, Danielle, and Patrick Klepek. And we were talking about
I listened to that.
how do you determine the true GotY on a podcast or any editorial outlet, really?
Oh.
And the answer is you determine it by volume, by the amount that of discussion that it has generated. And we proposed on that episode, we realized that our YouTube channel, which is updated by reader Johnny Driggs, he time codes everything. So you could conceivably go to like episode 175 and see how long we talk about Far Cry 4, probably too long. Or how long Chris talked about Spelunky over the entirety of this year. If you really just took all of the data and took all the time codes and added them up. So Idle Thumbs reader Joel Schroyen actually did this and sent it in. And the URL is too insane to list because it's a Dropbox link, but I will post it on the forum thread. I'll post it on Twitter. But there's an amazing, amazing website called ThumbsDB that it seems like it's just this concept, and then you realize that he has just gone insane. It is actually the most incredible reference that exists for Idle Thumbs. It might be the most incredible reference that exists for any podcast in the entire world.
It probably is. It's really amazing.
It's really good.
It's completely nuts. What it is it's it starts off with GotY by volume. It has a search field at the top that says January 1st, 2014 to December 31st, 2014. You press go. It then just lists every single game we've discussed and the amount of seconds that they have in them, which is impressive enough. But then if you click on one of the games, it expands down and it hot links to every single individual conversation per episode. So then you're like, that's insane. And then you realize that it's date bounded. So if you just put in 2008, it goes all the way back to Idle Thumbs episode 1, at which point you can see that our overall game of the year, or our Idle Thumbs GOTY by volume in its entire history, is not Far Cry 2. I think it's SimCity.
Yeah, it is SimCity.
Which is a bummer.
That's weird.
Because SimCity was discussed. SimCity got all the airtime that it got because SimCity had such a huge hype to reality bubble that we talked about it on both sides aggressively, whereas Far Cry 2 has just been the slow burner of all-time enjoyed game compared to everything Far Cry 2 talk about it all the time.
I think there was also SimCity the water was sort of muddled slightly because also I think there were some old episodes where we talked about the original SimCity.
Oh, we didn't always do
amount.
SimCity parentheses 2013 or whatever. Yeah, that's probably true. But we talked a lot about SimCity.
I know we did.
We felt really bad about it too. That was years ago. But it's so interesting and fun to scroll through that thing. Like I looked up Team Fortress 2 because I know we've talked about it various times, and it's kind of my favorite example of this because if you look at the list of discussions that we've had about Team Fortress 2 from the earliest to the most recent, it is just a lifetime history of Team Fortress 2 because the beginning of it is like, crazy game from Valve, we love it. And then the next one is like playing Team Fortress 2, playing a game that is continuously updated. And then it's like strange free to play or whatever. Then like
hats.
War, the War update, blah, blah, blah. And then like towards the top, then it's like Sean plagued online by people trying to buy his rare items. And then the last one is Jake gets made fun of for buying keys. So like, it goes from strange novelty to, oh man, we're in the thrall of this thing, to just, this is a weird free to play. What is happening? Oh man, but we actually got I tweeted about it a bunch because I was just I was blown away by that thing existing. The true game of the year is ThumbsDB. Yeah. But I linked it on Twitter a bunch and I got a bunch of people saying, thank you, this is actually a great resource because I'm just getting into Idle Thumbs and I want to be able to go back and pick up some stuff. I want to be able to, like, you can listen to anything we've ever talked about by game, by episode. It's insane. What I want someone to do now, though, is to take that thing that exists and then write an Idle Thumbs episode generator.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's the first thing I want.
You could just be like, Idle Thumbs, give me the Idle Thumbs Far Cry 2 Mega Blast, or just give me a random roll of Idle Thumbs conversations about 3 subjects. I want to hear about a 30-minute podcast.
Yeah.
Of highly discussed content, or give me all the deep cuts. Like it would be. I don't know why anyone would ever make that. I don't think you can do it. You
can make an intro supercut.
Oh my god!
The intro one is a funny one to look through because every single episode ever is on it except for episode 1, which I guess we didn't have an intro. I don't know.
I was considering making an intro supercut on my own for episode 200, but we'll see if not to put out in that episode, but at the same time because just listening to all the intros is weird. But whatever. Yeah, sure. It's just as a project that I think is fascinating, and I like weird, like, I don't know, that sort of thing is a thing that a lot of people do, like just with Twitter bots or weird data crunching and stuff, and I've never had it done to content that I've actually been involved with, and it was just like, it's so fascinating to look at, and also like it just kind of makes you feel good. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then also it makes you feel stupid because you go and listen to old Idle Thumbs episodes that are just terrible. Yeah. But oh man, yeah. I'll link it on the forum and I'll link it on Twitter. He actually gave us permission to host it ourselves, so I'll probably also add it to the idlethumbs.net extras page sometime over the next week. Yeah. Because it's a crazy thing. Yeah. Also, and that would not be possible without Johnny Driggs, who's been updating our YouTube page with every episode and annotations for years. So thanks for that. That was already the envy of a bunch of other podcast hosts, apparently.
Yeah.
But now it's in a database.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Oh, what was our game of the year last year? I actually can't even remember what it was. Our game of the year by volume.
I don't know.
I already forgot. That was why I brought it up.
You find that while I read the next email.
Okay.
So Duke BG writes, "Hey Thumbs, have you ever talked about Freeman's Mind? I've only started listening to Idle Thumbs around April 2010, so there's a chance you've talked about it before that. It's not a game, but a video series that follows the events of the original Half-Life with the narration and vocalization of what's going on in Gordon's mind. I'm writing it because because although Ross Scott, the creator of the series, started in 2007, only this New Year's Eve on December 31st, 2014, was the last episode released depicting the very end of the game. This is much more than a let's play with the narration going on. He was trying his best and succeeded to create a Gordon Freeman character and live through all of his experiences in the game. I say create because there are ways in which he deviated from the in-game motivations and not just for fun's sake. The personality he ended up with might not be very likable, and I cannot approve everything myself, but it helps highlight a lot of stupid things that gameplay forces if it is considered from a realistic view of an actual person being in those actual conditions. He gets into a situation where he's constantly blocked out with closed doors and has to do obstacle courses to get around just to open them from the other side. He tends to get in places that could not possibly be designed as a real work environment, rooms with no exits, ladders that go to nowhere but thin, barely walkable ledges, power generators that block your way with electricity when you turn them on, etc. Nobody but him seems to be able to do or achieve anything reasonable, especially when it comes to dealing with aliens. He tends to press any button or pull any levers he comes by. This is important because he doesn't have motives to go. He doesn't have motives to go and turn on things the game requires him to turn on to progress. There are situations where NPC scientists are trying to tell Gordon what to do, but he doesn't want to listen to them. The only thing he wants to do is get to the surface to escape this chaotic madness and all the horrible things that keep happening to him. Falling from heights, getting electrocuted, getting shot, having aliens jump on him from any possible angle, and so forth. So he progresses by randomly doing what is needed because he usually has one way to go anyway. An important tangent is tied to fighting the army. In the game, at some point, you start getting military as your enemies, as it's revealed that they are shooting every scientist instead of performing the rescue operation. Well, the Gordon in Freeman's mind approaches the first army units peacefully, but has to shoot back when he's attacked. He considers this self-defense and assumes those first guys were just really jumpy and confused him with an alien or something. As the story progresses, the amount of acts of self-defense using a submachine gun piles up, and he's astonished at what's going on and why. But he still does not react to them in the way that a player would to enemy units. When he has a chance, he tries to walk around them and abstain from murder. He thinks a lot about how he would ask his friend to make him a counterfeit ID so he could get out of the country and evade being framed after such a long self-defense spree. He walks, not runs, most of the time, except cases like enemies jumping him, and a rare case where he needs to make the same MP way multiple times. I'm not sure what that means. He also hurt his knees after falling from height at one point, and deliberately uses a med kit to apply bandages to his knees. He avoids suit batteries altogether. This looks like a car battery, way too heavy. You should see the series for yourself for the other great things there, subtly commenting on gameplay forcing unrealistic craziness, as this email's getting lengthy. But I wanted to congratulate Ross Scott on finally finishing the series and being free from them after 7 years and 72 episodes. They can be found on his YouTube channel, Accursed Farms, or on his website, accursedfarms.com. This was not what I wanted my first email to you guys to be about, but I guess I can write more. Sincerely yours, Babu the Wizard, Duke B. Garland.
Yeah, Duke, please write us back with what you did want your first email to be about. Yeah. But that sounds really good to me. That sounds like a thing that I would like.
Yeah.
P.S. On the episode about the Talos principle, you left out an important detail. Attention, Jake. The logo/banner image of the game in Steam is a robot hand petting a kitten. I've actually seen a couple episodes of Freeman's Mind, but it never would have occurred to me that it was still going.
Yep.
And not only that, had only amazing. Just been completed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Jesus, a few days ago.
Idle Thumbs Game of the Year by volume discussed in the year 2014 was Star Citizen with 77.75 minutes. Our runner-up game of the year, Robot News, with 58 minutes.
I miss Robot News.
Followed by the intro, followed by DayZ, Destiny, Alien Isolation, Banner Saga, Link Between Worlds, Luftrausers, and 80 Days. That is our top 10.
That all sounds reasonable.
I do think
Spelunky is not on that list.
Spelunky is a ways down. Spelunky was more the previous year, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Spelunky actually, according to this list, edges out on podcast Dota discussion by like 2 minutes.
If you count all years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really quickly want to give us, in honor of our Game of the Year by volume, I want to just recount briefly our experience with Star Citizen by the names of these segments.
Going from oldest to newest?
I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to give a few of them here. Star Citizen. How it's making so much money. Whoops, it's actually out and still inscrutable. There is no information about it that is not fictional. It's impenetrable and possibly EVE Online. Even fans admit it can be impenetrable. Chris can't figure out how to leave the hangar.
That sounds like a theme.
Please pay for a weird in-universe ad for this podcast. This is some Gatsby-level economic disparity shit. Anyway,
speaking of
even
Star
the people developing this game are outlandish. Was one of our final discussions about it.
Speaking of Star Citizen, just to kick off our 2015 in Star Citizen, there was a Star Citizen backer demographic information survey that got released, and it was really interesting in some weird ways, in that the average spent per, like, or I don't know if average or something, but I think like half of backers or something had spent more than $200 on the game. It's a 97% male, which is not a huge surprise. Overwhelming majority between the ages of 18 and 32, and then highest concentrations in the mid-20s age-wise. But the thing that was really crazy to me was what a huge percentage, like, as I recall, the biggest percentage of these users declared their income as $10,000 per year or less, which implies, I guess, that they live with their parents. I guess that's what that means, probably.
Or they're college students.
Or they're college students.
Yeah.
Yeah, they must be. Yeah, college students seems reasonable. Or either college students or live at home, or both, I guess. And it was crazy to me to see how much money some people spent on this game.
Right, people who are not personally responsible for the majority of their income or don't know how to fill out demographic surveys.
Right. But like it actually cross-referenced it by, like, there was a big table that actually cross-referenced reported income with total amount spent. And there were a lot of people who it was very surprising how much money they were spending on Star Citizen given what they were reporting their income.
Yeah, that's
to
crazy,
be.
because when you first listed all of the amount that people were buying, I was going to ask if there was a cross-reference in this data between people who play Star Citizen and people who bought that iOS I Am Rich app when the App Store first came out. That was like you pay a couple $100 for a picture of a gem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently not, because
No, I don't think so.
these people will... What I actually want to know is the correlation between money spent in Star Citizen and amount of time on social networks and forums grousing about how much of a ripoff iOS games are.
Oof.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I didn't do, like, obviously, I mean, I didn't really delve into this data in a really comprehensive way. So I couldn't give you numbers about like how strong the correlation between income and money spent is or anything like that. I was just surprised by a few of those figures. It was just interesting to see all that data collected and publicly released. Anyway, I don't know if I have anything else. You guys want to call this an episode?
Sure.
I don't know if I'd call it an episode.
You want to call it a piece of shit?
Wow, no, that's really
Oh,
rude.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would call it
Like a fart.
You guys are
Call it like a fart.
That's not what this episode is called, and it is an episode. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening. You can find us on Twitter. Find us on Twitter at IdleThumbs. Our website is idlethumbs.net/idlethumbs. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/idlethumbs. On SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/idlethumbspodcast. And if you liked us, please, please, please consider telling a friend and possibly even rating us on iTunes. We would really appreciate it.
The International Toon Store also contains podcasts.
And tunes.
Cartoons, music,
And Idle Thumbs.
and Idle Thumbs.
That's the slogan of the iTunes store. Cartoons, music, and Idle Thumbs.
That was Steve Jobs' last act.
Oh, what was his last thing? He said, it's so amazing. It's so amazing.
Yeah, oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cartoons, music, and Idle Thumbs.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve Jobs.
He said 10 years ago we had cartoons, tunes at Idle Thumbs. He said that, then he looked up and said, oh, wow. And this is a really tasteless thing to talk about.
Video game.